Well, I would like to thank the organizers, um, translators, volunteers for giving me the opportunity to give this address. And thank you, Joanna, a faculty member of the Neufeld Institute, also director of our Polish branch, who's right now devoting herself to working directly with Ukrainian mothers and their children at this time, and who was willing to give me a hand with this address. And so we'll both have something to say, and she has also added some slides to the presentation. Now, I'll be addressing Ukrainian mothers directly, as well as those, of course, who are helping them, whether it is as a volunteer, whether you've opened up your home to a refugee mother and her children, whether you are an expert desperately seeking for some perspective as to what to do in the situation. It is often overwhelming. I had to ask myself the question, of course, what could I possibly have to contribute from far off Canada? Where there is no war. What can I have to offer when I have never been in war, when I have never had to flee my country, when I have never felt my world come undone as the Ukrainian mothers have, or as the ones who are helping them have? I've asked myself that question. When I think of it that way, I don't feel qualified to speak. Nevertheless, I desperately want to be of help. And from 50 years of dealing with distressed children and adults, including survivors of the Holocaust, and having learned something about the nature of stress, being a student of science, and having learned something about how to survive through stress, about how to prevent stress from having those long-lasting trauma, which of course is what we're all concerned about now, is to keep it from taking its toll on the children, on adults too. But of course, my heart goes out to all the children. And even how to recover once in a safe place, although what we share today will apply equally to recovery. This is a time of crisis, and so I'll share it in the sense of the crisis that we're in. When times are dire and chaos and confusion reign, when anguish and suffering is all around us, we need to retreat to the basics as to how to be of help. The answers must not be complicated, not too complex to understand. So I'll try to do that to you for today. For you today, I will also try to be much shorter than I usually am. I like to talk a lot, but this time I'll try to get to the point. I'll let Joanna give the examples, and I'll try to be as brief as I can, because I'm sure attention spans are short, and restlessness is very high right now. So I'll go to start to the first slide.
Thank you so much for this beginning, Gordon. I have to say that I didn't expect such a moving words, so you broke a little bit my shield as a performer right now, and I'm moved, but I will try to do my best. But thank you.
Well, I'm glad I am doing this with you, and hopefully together we can get this message across. When Joanna suggested that such a thing might be helpful, I immediately put my mind to it and said, what can I do? There's so much information. How can I distill this to the essence? How can I make it so that it is usable for anyone? And so as I thought about it, how do we help children in troubled times, in times of crisis and so on? And it occurred to me, it really was simple. When you put all the pieces together, when you distill it to the essence, it is very, very simple. It's just that it gets eclipsed, it gets covered up, it gets camouflaged by a whole lot of data that actually point to these answers. So when all the pieces are put together, the answers are indeed surprisingly simple. So simple that they can be missed in the chaos of the moment. They are also intuitive. So you should be able to feel the truth deep inside of you. In fact, many of you will be practicing these truths without even knowing it. Why or how you knew this. They are also good science. There is an abundance of science that speaks to these as being the issue. And so experts can feel free to embrace them, because I know even as experts, when we're under duress, it goes like, what do I do again? What do I do again? And then we have to remember what it is that we need to bring to the crisis. So I've called it Helping Children in Troubled Times, Applying Relational and Emotional First Aid. I have it in green rather than red here instead of the Red Cross, but it is play and relationship. These are the toolkits. This has everything we need in a crisis. They are in these toolkits. And so this is what I want to expand briefly for you. Now, the helper here is anyone who wants to help, whether as a friend, a relative, a volunteer, a community organizer, a professional trained helper, but more importantly, the Ukrainian mothers whom I'm addressing directly. Those of you that are mothers fleeing from your country, the answers to your children in the middle of this horrific crisis. And for all of those who are helping these mothers be the answers to their children in this crisis. Now, as I said, these first aid kits are not only meant for first responders, for those first on the scene, so to speak, with those that are fleeing this war for the mothers and their children. These are also meant to be basic instruments for healing, for getting better when the acute phase of traumatic events is over. Of course, it's a bit too soon to talk about this. We will address ourselves to the crisis, as I said before, but we also want to intervene in a way that keeps the crisis from turning into trauma. We know so much now about what it is where a distressing event actually turns into trauma. I will touch on this briefly, because the sooner we can intervene, the more we can actually keep it from taking the toll that is necessary. And that is why the importance of this material, to know how can we prevent absolutely horrific events that cause the symptoms of acute trauma. How can we prevent that from getting stuck, from coming into more long-lasting or complex trauma? And so to do this, I would like to share with you very briefly what happens to our children, as well as to us when we are distressed. This knowledge isn't necessary. If it seems too much, don't worry about it. It's not necessary to be of help, but if it can help distressed parents, if it can help make sense of themselves or of their children, when we make sense of things, it takes some of the alarm away. There's nothing worse than thinking there is something wrong with us, something wrong with how we are feeling, with how we are acting, that we must be crazy somehow, that things are not right. The more you understand what nature is trying to do, what the dynamics are trying to do in distress, the more you can say, oh, I see, or you see it in your child and it makes sense to you. At least that alarm goes away and you can relax on that part of it as well, knowing that all is unfolding as it's meant to unfold. And there are things that we can do to help our children in this way. Now, again, I'll try to be fairly simple about this, but when stress happens, when a distressing event happens, the emotions go to work. Now, we've discovered that emotions are not an accident. Emotions are there for a purpose. They are nature's way of trying to fix a problem. And what is the problem? in distress, for a long time, people thought it was fear, the fear of bombing, the fear of what's going to happen, the fear of physical danger, the fear of not having food and water. It turns out that this is not the way our brains are programmed. We are creatures of togetherness. In togetherness, we find survival. So our brains are actually programmed to try and preserve this togetherness. So when we face separation from anything, whoever we're attached to, our loved ones, our culture, our land, our country. So why would individuals go to war, defend their country, when it puts them in harm's way? Because of the love of their country, because they're attached, because they want to take care of their children. See, this is all for reasons of attachment. If there is attachment, then survival is more likely to happen. But when the bombs fall, the children don't say, "Where's safety? Where's this?" They say, "Where's mommy? Where's daddy?" They run to those to whom they're attached. We say, "Where's my husband? Where's my wife?" We run to those to whom we're attached. You see, we are creatures of togetherness. And so what is it that stresses us? What is it that distresses us? Is facing separation of any kind. Now, this is so important to remember, because you see, when you get to safety, when you have actually got, in a safe place, when you can finally say, we're out of physical danger, you've got your children across the border, you've been able to register, you're in a place now where you can stop shaking, you can finally let go, and you wonder, it's not stopping. It's not stopping. The distress isn't stopping. And the reason for that, of course, is you're facing separation. You're facing separation from loved ones. You're facing separation that accumulates every day. And so, but you need to understand this, is the emotions have tremendous work to do, and they're trying to work. They're trying to help fix the problem. And there's three big workhorses that take over our thoughts and actions. So if you feel as if you're not in control, there's something else that is driving you. That's exactly the way it's meant to be. In times of stress, our brain takes over. Okay, it goes on autopilot. These are pre-programmed things. Now, there is the emotion of pursuit triggered by facing separation. Just wanting to get close, you can feel in part of yourself, I just got to get back to my parents. I just got to get back to my husband. I just got to get back to this, to do this and close the gap. And you can feel this. And then part of you argues with yourself, I can't do this. I can't do this. This is the way I have to be here. I have to be for my children. But you will find this urge in you. This is normal. This is that pursuit is trying to fix a problem, but these are pre-programmed emotional intelligence, pre-programmed instructions that are etched into our brain. Just close the gap, close the gap, close the gap, close the gap. And that's what it is doing us, pushing us to do this. Your children will be clutching the things they're attached to. They'll be clutching you. They'll be clinging you. They won't be able to let you out of their sight. It keeps the gap closed all the time. And we mustn't divide the mothers and their children at this time, because it means that they face more separation, not less. You see, it's so important. We always thought that it was physical danger that was the highest stress. And now we know it's not. It is the separation we face. And when you understand it, you understand what these emotions are trying to do. And of course, alarm. Oh my goodness, an elevated startle response, hypervigilance, hyperarousal, anything that's a loud noise, it wakes up, and we can't focus and we can't concentrate. And oh my goodness, alarm is trying to take over, because it's trying desperately to move us to caution. But of course, it's just pre-programmed information. This is emotion is coursing through our brain. These are nature's workhorses. These are called primal separation emotions that do the fundamental work and frustration, trying to solve the problem, can't sleep, trying to solve the problem. What can I change? What can I change? What can I change? And when I feel thwarted in solving that problem, I feel irritated and impatient. I feel like I could bite somebody's head off. I feel all of this attacking energy and all of this, and that's frustration talking. And so these are the emotional workhorses. And when they are elevated that much, they can't all exist simultaneously. So they start rotating in us, making us feel like sometimes like, oh my goodness, 5 minutes ago, it was like all of these impulses and all of these thoughts and all of these actions, and now all of this, and now another set. But they can't all be felt at the same time because they are so huge. And of course, the same things are happening with our children. Except they have no ability to take up a relationship with them. So what you see is these emotional workhorses in just trying over and over, taking over and driving our thoughts and actions. We have to remember there's wisdom in these emotions. They may not be appropriate for the day, for the situation, and there's a lot of problems they can't fix. But there's wisdom in how the brain has evolved. This is how the brain evolved to try and help us. So having a sense of this gives us a respect for what nature is trying to do, even if we have to say, no, it's not working. It's not working right now. Now, this is a perfect emotional storm, because when the danger is over, that is, at least for yourself, when you finally got to safety, as I said, the facing separation doesn't stop. You have loved ones at home. You have relatives. You have country. You have a culture. You have husbands. You have brothers who are fighting. It doesn't stop.
Yes, and I can I share just one example? I had a consult with one mom from the Ukraine about 10 days, maybe 2 weeks ago, and the situation was that she suddenly, despite that she has children and she's here and the husband is fighting in the Ukraine, she decided suddenly that she's coming back. She's just taking children and coming back.
Yes. Yes, yes.
Because of this pre-wired resolution.
This is close the gap. Exactly. I must close the gap. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I didn't even have a consult with her, but with family when she's leaving, because she didn't want to meet any psychologist. No, she just would like to come back.
Yeah. No, it seems self-evident. When these emotions are there, it seems so self-evident. And we must realize that these are in our children. These are in our children. So they are highly alarmed, highly frustrated, highly in trying to close a gap, in pursuit of proximity, and yet they're taking turns in this way. Now, you will also notice something a bit peculiar, is even though these emotions are driving thoughts and behavior, and you can't help it. The alarm puts images in your head. It startles you. The emotions are in control. Even though that is true, there is a kind of a dullness of feeling. It's as if you can't quite feel yourself, and you try to remember when you last felt yourself, and there's kind of a numbness. And even though you're full of all of these inner springs, all of this emotion is trying to move you, there is a little bit of a veil over things. Things feel a bit surreal. There's a bit of numbness, and the reason for that is that the brain in a time of stress is numbing our feelings. Now, there's wisdom in this as well. Now, you say, how can this be? You said there's much more emotion, but less feeling. Yes, this is true. When you can understand this, this is the huge riddle. More emotion, so our brains are become just absolutely revving with emotion, trying to move us in various ways. but less feeling. And so when you think, well, I thought emotion was feeling. No, no, no. We can feel our emotion or not feel our emotion, just like we can feel our hunger or not feel it. We can feel our tiredness or not feel it. We can feel our aches and pains or not feel it. When you're in the middle saving your children, you don't feel a thing. You don't feel a thing. The reason you don't feel a thing is you can't afford to feel, because if you felt, you couldn't do your job. Now, as long as you're facing your separation, that is the problem. Now, I'll just very briefly outline this for you of how this works. So when this is a big paradox, but so much is answered by this. We know so much now about the stress response. And of course, this is exactly what you're experiencing. So the paradox is elevated emotion, more emotion, but all the feelings that would interfere with you doing what you need to do in the work of attachment, performing and functioning in stressful circumstances are inhibited. That makes sense. That makes sense. But the problem here is it was meant to be situational. So it's kind of that the brain throws everything it has at it. It numbs the feelings, kind of assuming that the crisis will be over in a day or two, or at least a week. And oh my goodness, the crisis isn't ending. It isn't ending. And so again, you have the perfect storm. You see, what is supposed to be the stress response is over time, and this is a sine wave, like everything is orchestrated around a sine wave, is that the feelings that are lost are supposed to come back at the end of the day. And so they bounce back. Now, ideally, the way it should work is we have a bit of stressful time during the day, just ordinary stress, and our feelings back off. They're inhibited is the science word for it. And our feelings back, and then we get to a safe place. We get home to a safe place, and all our feelings come back. Now, this should ebb and flow in a day, but what happens when the crisis doesn't end? What happens when the feelings don't bounce back? And that is the concern. This is called the resilience response. Fortunately, this resilience response is in every single human being. So is a stress response. So when what is supposed to happen, as I said, is after the situation, there is safety. The feelings are meant to come back, and there's two sanctuaries for safe feelings. Safe relationships and emotional playgrounds. Now remember, what are the two kits? First aid, relational first aid, and play. That is why these are the two things. Now, when the stress response gets stuck, when the crisis doesn't end, again, this is the perfect storm, then this needs a little bit of help. And so we need to focus on it. Normally, it just happens naturally, but now it needs a little bit of help. And that's why we need to go to work as first responders, helping the parents, mothers with their children. And we need to focus a little bit more on relational first aid and on emotional playgrounds to be able to help. The problem here is when the stuck response, when the stress response gets stuck, that is where it starts turning into trauma. And so the more that we can help provide safe relationships and emotional playgrounds, ease it a little bit, allow the feelings to restore safely, but we must be careful here. Even though the feelings need to be restored, the main construct here is safety. We need to provide safety, not push and pull, not push a child's face into what has happened, not try to debrief what has happened, not going into all of the things, not showing images of war or reading books about war or so on. No. We need to allow the brain to sort this out itself. When it is ready, then feelings start coming back. You'll sense it. You'll know it when the feelings start coming back. But we need to make it free. The defenses are there for a reason, and the reason is not ready, not ready, not ready, not ready. Don't feel enough safety yet. Don't feel enough safety yet. So our job is to be able to provide that safety through relationship and emotional playgrounds. Let the brain do what it does very good. It's not disordered. It is amazing, absolutely amazing. And so what it is doing is saying, no, 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 I'm inhibiting feelings until I sense there's enough safety. We must allow it to do so, honor those defenses. There is great wisdom in this. And so that our job here then is to give it a little bit of help. We provide some safety. To provide safety, it is a relational safety that is there, and play. These are the places, which brings us to, of course, the relational first aid and focusing on relationship. Don't know if you wanted to say.
I just would like to say that I'm very grateful that you mentioned about this. That it's the defense mechanisms are for a reason. They have deep meaning here, and our goal is absolutely not to trying to disarm it by force, because this is our idea that if you will come back to the feelings pretty fast, it will be so good because you need it and your child need it. No, what we can do is just take care of circumstances that allows you to slowly feel again.
Yes. Again, you see, when you come to this, that the brain actually knows what it's doing, not that it is somehow mistaken, but it knows what it's doing. It has had thousands of years of evolution to figure this out. Now, it hasn't covered every situation, but it's got pretty good programming. And, it has pretty good programming. So it's got emotional workhorses. It has a stress response, resilience response. It inhibits feelings and then will allow feelings to come back. So our job is to work with nature, not against it. Just work with it. We're midwives. Nature will do all the work of recovery, of healing. It will do all the work. It does it very well. It doesn't need experts. If we are an expert, if we are a volunteer, if we are a helper, then we work with nature and not against it. So I'll cover some of the main points here. And the first one is so important. You'll all know that that inside of you, when we have these instincts for togetherness, but the whole idea of togetherness is to facilitate caretaking, to take care of others and to be taken care of. And so there are two modes of attaching. I'll take care of you, or I seek to be taken care of. We call those roughly alpha instincts and dependent instincts. In good alpha instincts and alpha caring response, you take charge, move to take care. You can feel it inside of you, this strong alpha presence. Even though you may not know what to do, what you are doing, you still know you're in charge, and you give this sense of being in charge. Now, it turns out that when you're around somebody who has that kind of presence and you're attached to them, you feel very safe. Now, are you safe? No. Could bad things happen to you or your loved ones? Yes. But you feel safe. And our brains need to feel safe to be able to function properly, to rest properly. Even if they are not safe, they need to feel safe from time to time. And so the way you can do this, now notice everybody is asking, well, what do I tell my children? What do I say to them? What do I expose them to? What do I not expose? What is it? No. It's not what we do or say. If your child is attached to you, and you act as if you're in charge with the whole demeanor, I will take care of you. It brings us back to where our dignity is. It brings us back to where it is that we, oh, okay, this is where I need to be. But our child, and you can see it visibly in the child, begins to relax, not so full of alarming thoughts. What's going to happen? What's going to happen? I don't know what's going to happen. Not so full of all of these things. And the alarm settles a little bit. Now, do I know? Do you know what to do? No. No. You don't necessarily know what to do. Do you know how in this situation you can take care of those that love you? It's very difficult, but your demeanor is important. The way you walk, the way you talk, the way you are. So when you do this, even though there's every reason for your child to be alarmed, they experience an oasis of safety. This is so important, so important. And so it is just find that alpha place inside of you. Try to get back in this place where you always were as a mother, where you knew, I will take care of you. I am your answer. Try and find this place, wiggle yourself right back into that posture. Stand up straight and convey this presence, and you'll notice that your children begin to feel a bit safer. So that is a huge one. Now, collect. What do I mean by collect? Take an extra effort to get their eyes, their smiles, and some nods. It's just the normal greeting when you collect. Now, they're your children. You shouldn't have to greet them, but so many things happen when we get scared, when we get alarmed. And we always have to remember that when we're attached, it sets us up for the pain of separation. There's something inside of us that says, well, if I wasn't attached, if I just didn't care about anything, if I didn't do this, if something in the brain goes like this, then I wouldn't get hurt so much. And so there's always this kind of thing that happens as you see in your child. It's just, oh my goodness, you've lost the connecting energy. You've lost that connecting, or inside of you, you've lost that connecting energy. You're not seeking togetherness. You just somehow, it's just the attachment has withdrawn. Well, collect often. You want to collect often in the alpha presence, get their eyes, their smiles, their nods, feel that sense of connection, keep their relationship open. Attachment needs to be clear, open, and strong for you to be the answer to your child. So collect. Don't let resistance build up. Come alongside their emotional experience. You might not understand their behavior. Sometimes they may seem like strangers to you, or even you to yourself. Come alongside yourself. Oh my goodness, am I alarmed? Oh, am I ever frustrated? Oh, am I ever just, all I can think of is closing the gap, closing the gap. Come alongside of yourself. Put an arm around yourself. Put an arm around your children in this. We come alongside. It's a place where our children need us to get to their side. And we can get to their side when we can come along the emotions that are in there, even if we don't agree with how they're acting out of these emotions. We can always come alongside the emotions. Oh, I see you're frustrated, you're upset, you're so alarmed right now. You just want to be close to the things that you're attached to. It's very important to support existing attachments. This is where all of the separation is being experienced. This is not a time, as I said, to divide mothers and children. Oh, we've got a program for mothers. We've got a program for children. It's not a time to be able to doing this. You support the mothers being the answers to their children. You support the grandparents that are there to be this. This is you support the transitional objects. By transitional objects, we mean the teddy bears, the things that they've taken with them, that they're clutching to right now, because in clutching onto that, they're holding on to everything they were attached to. And so this is the way to keep others close. And so this is the time to support all of those things. the answer is the togetherness of the mother-child, the mother-child unit, as we'll talk about a little bit later, trying to reconstruct a working village of attachment for them, and so to reconstruct, to find surrogate grandparents if they don't have that. The next one is because the children can't be with their dads for the most part, and sometimes with their grandparents, and sometimes with other siblings and with relatives. You try to bridge these separations with other forms of connection. And oh my goodness, if dad's been injured or killed in battle, or something has happened to the grandparents, you bridge this. It's not a time for grieving. Grieving will come when the feelings come back, when the sadness comes back. This is a time for holding on. And how do you hold on? You say, well, how can you hold on when you can't be with? Well, nature has answers for this as well. The whole idea of holding on like a plant can hold on. Now, the first superficial roots have to do with being with. Yes, this is how a plant holds, onto the soil and so on. But nature has given humans a very elaborate way of holding on when we can't be with. So when we can't be with, unlike plants, if their roots are uprooted, that's it. When we can't be with, nature says, well, try sameness. Try sameness. And so, for instance, if a child, you focus on, oh, your daddy and you are so alike. You have the same laugh, the same twinkling eyes. Oh, I miss him. You are so alike. What you're doing is you're helping that child be close. Why? Because when you are like, it is a way of being close to be like rather than with. And so use all of your abilities when a child cannot be with their loved ones to be like. And then it goes deeper, belonging. That to be close is to be part of a group. Here to be close is to be like. Here to be close is part of the family, part of the group. So you continue talking like that on the same side. And so these are ways that you do this, very important to and mattering to. Oh, I'm sure if your father could see you right now, he'd be so proud of you. You really matter to him. You're in his thoughts. And so you talk about mattering and significance. And of course, there's a long arm of love. The long arm of love is a long arm of attachment, which is that emotional connection when you've given your heart away. That's why we always talk in forever terms. When we talk about giving your heart away, somebody has your heart forever. The point is that as a mother, you'll always be your children's mother. Your mother was always your mother. That's true, dead or alive. Your grandfather, your grandmother will always be your grandmother. That's true, dead or alive. You see, because once you're emotionally attached, it is a forever attachment. And that is the beauty of it, is that we can hold on, we can hold on, we can hold on. And nowadays, moms, you'll be getting lots of questions. Is something bad going to happen to you? Are you going to die? Are we going to die? Is something bad? Now, the answer to that is of course, we're horrified when our children ask of this, and we all know too clearly that bad things are happening to the people we love. So how can we say, no, it won't? But the point is this, what we have to give them is something far greater. There's ways of holding on. There's ways of holding on. We are creatures of togetherness, and we have ways of holding on that transcend death, that transcend physical separation. And so the answer is so simple. Don't you worry, honey. I will always be your mother. Now, that's true. Whether you are dead or alive, and you don't get into that part right now, Hopefully there will be times when we can deal with that part of the line. Right now, it is important to know that this is togetherness. And so doing everything we can, a sense of being known, a sense of significance. The key now is, as I said, in a crisis, you don't grieve. It has to be safe. Your feelings have to come back. You have to be able to hold on enough until there's part of you that can feel the sadness. That time will come. The feelings will catch up. There will be time for these things, whatever things that need to be dealt with. Right now, we hold on, and we help those that we are helping hold on. We help them to hold on. We help children hold on to their mothers, to their fathers, to their grandparents. We help them hold on. To hold on to this is what we must do. And nature shows us how we can do this. And so we have to, again, be midwives to nature in this.
I would like to say that for me, it's one of the most important messages today, that we don't have to let our children be with all this separation. We have a lot of things, what we can do to help them feel this closeness despite of this physical separation. And this element that sometimes we absolutely don't have to answer on some questions of children. What we have to do, what we need to do is answer for the real need there. So understand why they are asked question this, and about what's going on here, what emotions is driving. And this is also the part of the last level here, being known. So when you understand me, when you truly understand me, you are not looking on my behavior, or like not looking on my words, listen to my words. You are looking deeper, much deeper.
Yes.
Yeah,
no, well said. Like, these are you don't have to answer the alarm, you answer the truth. You will be able to hold on. Our connection is there, and then you guide them to this this way. And it can be so simple, like when you're having to be separated from your child, maybe your child has to go to the hospital or something like this. Give them something of yours that's precious, of yours, to hold on to. And holding on to it, they hold on to you. And so there's ways of doing this all the way through. But the issue is not helping them deal with separation. The issue is helping them hold on. And so that is the issue in a crisis. This is relational first aid. Now, there will be symptoms, of course, of stress, of alarm, of frustration, of the emotions, of detachment, when the brain wants to say, oh, attachment is so trouble, if only I don't care. And so your child go, I don't care, doesn't matter, whatever. You can get all of these things. You can get a frustration erupting into aggression, into these things. It's important to remember that the bottom line is relationship. So when you say, cut it out, when you say, I can't have, this is not like you, or I can't have you doing this, that's not the way to treat your sister. Remember, always follow it up. We're okay. I'm still your mom. Nothing will separate us. We're okay. So you always make sure that the bottom line is nothing can separate you from my love. Nothing can separate you from my care. They must feel secure in something. And if you can't feel secure in your mother's love, then everything falls apart. And so there's a time when we cut them some slack. It doesn't mean that you have to compromise your values. It just means that remember what the bottom line is. And of course, there's how do we nurture them, including food. Now, all of what we're understanding about food is when the stomach shuts down, when they're under stress, of course, the body doesn't know what to do with the food it even gets. It's not about survival. Food is meant to be delivered in the context of connection. So just simply remembering that, collect the child first, get a sense of connection, get their eyes, some smiles and nods, feed the young ones by hand if you must. They may have been independent before, but just don't be afraid of putting them on their knee and giving them what they need. The older ones, you're actually never too old. When my mother was dying at 93 years of age, and they all said she's quit eating, she doesn't eat anymore, I always knew that when I brought food and when I sat and held her hand and gave her a hug and enveloped her with my love, her appetite came back. And she would eat and eat and eat. And they got mad at the hospice because she was taking too long to die. But oh my goodness, no, we're meant to be nurtured in the context of connection. We can do this. Most of us have instincts to do this. We can do this. And matchmake to embed in cascading care. The answers are not social relationships, not children for children. This does not serve survival. This is when they need to be in relationship with the caring adults. And so matchmake, when you're first on the scene, when you're a volunteer, when you're a responder, you look around to say, is there a grandparent that I can bring into this village somehow? Can I match make this child with this grandparent who seems to not have their grandchildren of their own here? Can I embed in this cascading care so everyone here, even a 5-year-old, has a 3-year-old to look after a little bit, and so that they all have both giving and receiving, all have the idea of being able to be on the receiving end from somebody they can depend upon. And that's the way we knit it together. The problem is we start thinking that children are the answer to children. No, because when children start orbiting around each other, they are pulled out of orbit from the adults who care for them. Then we have a whole host of other problems. Children are not the answer to children, not in a time of crisis. Caring adults are. But we need to, first of all, bring them into attachment with us. We need to collect them, or we need to do this with somebody else that can take care of them. Cascading care, helping mothers to become the answers to their children, not taking the children away from their mothers. Both, if we do so, both will be without reason to live, without meaning in their life. Especially when the mothers have sacrificed their lives for their children, we need now to put them back into the place of dignity, being the answers their children need. And again, to find a way of creating a surrogate village of cascading care for them. There's great dignity in being the answer to one's children, and we must restore that dignity. It's just dreadful when everything you've been taken away from you. The idea of being able to have any dignity and even being able to take care of your own hygiene, everything goes out the window in time of crisis. And so the dignity of being another person's answer is so important. And again, the answer is not experts in themselves. Experts need to be matchmakers. We all need to be agents of attachment in a world that is coming undone. And so our job is to be able to embed individuals in this cascading care. I'm going to pass it to Joanna here. You had this.
Yes, you just mentioned that we all can do it, and we all, generally, most of us have good instincts how to do it, and what can be just natural answers here. And that's why I brought these pictures from one of our event here in Poland for Ukrainian families, and you can see just exactly the mothers with children, and this is so simple. Kamila Dubilas from our team here in Poland, Institute, Newport Institute, but in Poland, is providing some group games here. And when we analyze it, these pictures in terms of what you just said, it's so obvious that we have all of it there. We have supporting existing attachments because the moms has to help their children to play in this game, to support them to be able to gain or win, yeah. And we have this element of conveying a strong caring alpha presence, because children asking for help in this game, but in a lot of others we are trying to provide. We have collecting to engage and invite dependence. And this such an important element you mentioned about this embed in cascading care, because we are rebuilding the sense of competence of mothers when we are providing the opportunity to do this, because we could we can always take the moms and we are taking care of you, and somebody will take care of your child. And it seems to be the answer, but it's not with this deep insight, but not with the whole answer. And we have already researched about this. Yes, that this is one of the most important things when we are experiencing trauma, not to place somebody in the position, completely dependent position that you can take anything, do anything. You don't have any competence. What you said very, very beautifully, dignity even, yeah, on the very deep level. So here's the space also for bridging troubling symptoms, because we can see sometimes that big emotions are expressing, and we can take care of this in a playful mode. And as you see, I'm not here, yes? As you see, I'm a psychologist in our team. Why I'm not here, yes? And this is exactly why I'm not here, because I'm around. And just in case somebody will need me, I will be there. And I have full invitation to talk about whatever you would like to talk. But it's not about some form of dazzling with the psychologist, yes? It's about creating these circumstances, this invitation, and with the assurance that there is somebody with whom you can talk if you will feel that that there is a need. Yeah.
I have one more point to share before we leave the relational first aid, and that's a very important point. Here's when we're long to shield a child, when a parent longs to shield a child against external wounding, emotional wounding, I'm talking about, all the kind of emotional wounding, including the facing separation, the distress and adversity, and so on. The answer, again, is not what we do as the adult here. The answer is in the child's attachment to that adult. It is the child's, its attachment that has incredible power. And that's why I'm trying to point to is, oh my goodness, the brain has evolved in a way, the drive for togetherness, the answers are in this, is when a child attaches strongly to a caring adult, that adult can shield the child. That child again feels safe. There is armor around. The armor is not of emotional defense. The brain doesn't have to use as much emotional defense because it has relational defense. It is relational armor that creates the shield. And studies in science have over and over and over again pointed to this as a single most important factor of how we can keep our children safe emotionally. It's not through what we say or what we do, it's through their attachment to us. That's why we need to collect them, keep it strong. We can't protect the heart of a child whose heart we do not have. So we must have their hearts. It's not, again, what we do, it's who we are to the child that counts. And so if the child is attached to you, that child is fortunate and as a mom, as a parent, you have the ability to protect that child emotionally that nobody else has that ability to do, no matter how much of an expert they are, because it's the child's attachment to you that gives this oasis of safety, that the child can actually feel more than they would be otherwise. They don't have to be as defended. So this is the way we can be their shield, and every single child needs to be shielded. Never mind the Ukrainian children who have fled with their mothers, or the orphan children. Every single child needs to be shielded. And how do we shield them? The first thing we shield them is to get them attached to a caring adult, or support their attachment to the caring adults in their lives. When we support that attachment, it's at the emotional level, then this is a single most important factor in being able to keep distressing events turning into a traumatic to trauma in the child. This is the best way. This will preserve the heart for when there's enough safety around, and the feelings will come back. And so again, the answer is in preserving their attachments and creating attachments to caring adults. I'm just going to review this before we go to play just what we have said. Through a child's attachment to us, remember the power is in their attachment to us. So what we're preserving, what we're supporting is their attachment to caring adults, first and foremost to their mothers here, and to those that they can't be with right now, that their relatives, their loved ones, their fathers, and so on. Through a child's attachment to us, we can be their answer even when there are no answers. And you know what I mean by that. When nothing seems clear around us, everything seems overwhelming. The answer is in being, not in doing or saying or knowing the right things. It is being the one they are attached to. So the answer is in being when we have this, and we are able to be their home, even though they're displaced. Who are we at home with? We're at home with those that we're attached to. Yes, we may have lost our house, we have lost our village, we may have lost this, but thank goodness that we evolved as nomads, not city dwellers. Our brain is programmed that home is wherever we're attached. And so your child can be at home. That's wonderful. That's incredible. That's a power of attachment. So you can be their home. You can be their place of rest when there is nothing but restlessness all the way around. And even you can be restless, but still their rest. Fortunate, you don't have to be at rest for them to be at rest with you. And they need rest. You can be their sanctuary of safety because they're in a bubble. Their attachment, when they're attached to you, creates this sanctuary of safety. You can be their shield in a wounding world. And very important, you can be their reason for holding on. You know, everyone needs a little bit of extra here. Sometimes it just feels I just want to give up. I still want to sleep forever. I want to sleep forever. I just want to give up. You know, can I just find a hole someplace? They're their reason for holding on, because attachment is what gives us meaning. And so this is the power in this. This is how we become their answer, even when we don't know what to do, even when we don't know anything else, we can still be this for them. And that is the power of attachment.
It's a very moving part for me, what you mentioned right now, because I already had the consult with a mom, and this mom is barely holding, but she has a very, very little baby, and she expressed it clearly that she's trying to look in the eyes of the baby, and then she's hold on, because she knows that the baby needs it, need her. Yeah, and I would like to mention come back here in this cascading care idea, because what you mentioned right now on your slides about be their home, it's like for children, the moms are their homes, but it's so much easier for the moms to be their home if they are feeling like at home, if somebody is sending you an invitation, because you can't invite yourself, you have to have some invitation. And this is exactly when we can do so much. And this is exactly a perfect example of cascading care. I'm showing the pictures here, and this is a picture from a real event here in Poland. Some students from the hairdressing class in Zgierz, in our area, they invited the Ukrainian moms to the hairdressing salon and offered them this free hairdressing services. And during this time, a rug was laid down in the corner, and some person was assigned to look after children. But the children saw the mothers and could approach them at any moment. And moms, they experienced exactly the quintessence of cascading care. And we can imagine this, yes, at a time when there is no chance of taking care of yourself and of something as trivial as appearance, you can say, someone is offering you it, and such a gift. And for this one moment, you are in another world and fully taken care of. And this is exactly one moment can be decisive, yes, in the context of gaining the strength to reach for your child later in full emotional connection with the child. So I wanted to show this beautiful example, and it was made just by students, exactly from the point of instinct and just need to help, need to do something, give something to somebody.
Well, we'll move to employing play as emotional first aid. When we think of play, we tend to think of toys and physical playgrounds. I want you to somehow not think of that. That is not what it is. Play is there first and foremost to take care of our emotions. And so think of places where emotions can come out to play. Okay? Think of those things. Music, crafts, think of movement, of dance, think of silliness, teasing. Think of all of those places where emotions can come out to play. And where emotions come out to play, this is the kind of play that we are talking about. Now, the brain in the play mode is amazing. This is a whole new science, and what is discovered is just remarkable. The play instinct is so important. It sits right next to the instinct to breathe. And it is one of what is considered by some to be the one of three major drives. We've already discussed attachment. It is, we are creatures of togetherness, first and foremost. That is the primordial drive, the preeminent drive, you might say. As we move to adulthood, we all know how to work towards an outcome to get achievements and accomplishments. That's the work drive, so to speak. It's all about outcomes. But the play drive is the opposite of both the attachment drive and the work drive. The play drive, it is as if it gives the rest. It is a place of rest from trying to make attachments work and all the emotions that go with it. It is also a place of rest from trying to get to outcomes, to trying to get to a certain place. That's why we call it play for play's sake. It's amazing. It is this place of activated rest, which the brain needs. You know what it's like when you can't think straight. You need sleep to think straight. And when you've gone 2 or 3 nights without sleep, you can't think straight. Well, sleep is to thinking as play is to emotion. Play is a place where emotions take a rest. Not that they're not in play. They are in play, but they're not at work. And so when they're not at work trying to fix things, when attachment is not at work, this is the rest that the brain needs to be able to function properly. So what we are doing when we bring first aid there is, if I could put it this way, is emotions are at work. They're at work. They're at work. They're at work. You can see them all over the place. The workhorses that I talked to you about. Oh, this child, this mother needs rest, needs rest, needs rest, needs rest. Yes, physical rest for the thinking brain, emotional rest, play for the emotional brain. And so this becomes absolutely essential for the brain to function properly, to set the stage for recovery, to be able to handle oneself in a crisis. Now, the nature of play is that it's supremely engaging, and that's a good thing. It's so engaging that it captures us, our attention, our energy. And when we need to rescue children from the clutches of alarm, from despair, or from suffering that is too much to bear, when we need to rescue them from all of the, of the facts, it is play through which we rescue them. If we can engage them in play, and again, it's very engaging. So when you know how to be able to do this, when you put on your little, we have play signals. Dogs have play signals. Horses have play signals. All mammals play. They must play. If they didn't play, their brains wouldn't work. They've got to play. And more complex, like humans, we need to play a lot. And there's play signals. So when you put on that cape, or when you put on that silly smile, or when you put your hat a different way, or you've got that twinkle in your eye and you give a play signal, it's so engaging that even the most despairing child will go, you can see this spark, and the spark is, oh, it's time to play. It's time to play. And that's exactly what you want. You're giving their brain a break. You're giving it relief. This is the first thing we could do. This is emotional first aid. The brain in the play mode is amazing. It's the opposite of the brain in the depressive mode. It's the opposite of the brain in the alarm mode. It's the opposite of the brain, trying to solve some kind of problem. So it is, I can't say enough of this. It is so important, and it's so simple. And it is so powerful that in the middle of a war, and this, and you know this in the research around it, when the bombs were dropping in London, and now in the Ukraine, is when the children were at play. It was a bubble of safety that afforded their brain some rest. It was so engaging. It created this bubble around them. This is so important for their emotional health and well-being, so important for their future recovery, so important for us to be able to have this. Again, as important as sleep is for the thinking mind, play is for the emotional brain. It's not a luxury, it's a necessity. And it keeps distressing events. Play is the most significant thing, along with a relationship, that will keep distressing events from turning into the effects of trauma. This play bubble was drawn by a colleague of Joanna. I'll let you take it from here.
I'm sorry, I was muted. Yes, thank you. It's Mila Blaszta. She's an artist and a writer, books for children. And I asked her to draw something like that, and she made an amazing job here. And I would like to say also that it's based on the real event. If you can show the next slide, Gordon, we will see the real photos of this event, and it was the first place where we were with our team, and we were just making origami. A lot of was going on there, but part of our great time with children was this origami, and just at the end, I will mention why origami, and I would like to say more about these pictures here, about this relationship with these little girls on this picture. So I'm just mentioning about this, and at the end, I will come back to this.
Come back here? Okay. All right. So let's go over the main points here. The first one, to safely engage. It is so engaging, and so engaging that it distracts from anything else. And it is amazing when you see children in this way, like, how can it be so engaging? But it is. And that is what play is meant to be. It's meant to save us. It's meant to rescue. Like, all we'd have to see this, you say, oh, that's the way nature rescues us. That's what nature does. We must allow ourselves to be rescued. We must allow our children to be rescued. Their play is a play where the brain goes, I'm at rest. So it can distract from alarming situations. So it, as I said, it gives the brain a chance to rest and recover. The emotional brain, you see, you know what it's like to sleep when you've been distressed and traumatized, is the emotions are in charge of their dreams. So what did they give you? Nightmares. So emotions are at work at night. And so that's the problem, is emotions are at work 24/7 all the time, unless we can get into the play mode. That's why we need to get into the play mode for ourselves and for our children. This is what we need to provide for safe expression of primal emotion. You see, when emotions they're no longer working, then it is, we can have some fun. So what are children going to play? War. What are they going to play? They're going to play alarms, scaring bombs. What are they going to play? It's, oh my goodness, they play all of this, but it doesn't count for real. It's the brain's ability to get all of this out, to be able to express all of this. And so they'll play pursuit, they'll play tag, they'll play having to do all of these things. All of these things will be there, but it's like all of these elevated emotions that get to be expressed when it doesn't count for real. When I grew up, my friend right across the street from where I lived, his father didn't come back from the war. I was fortunate. I had my father after the Second World War. His father didn't come back. He was an Air Force pilot. And I remember playing from when I was probably 3 years of age, although my memories only go to 4, to probably 9 years of age. He had to play war. We would go to his place, we would dig trenches, we would get our little twigs from this, and we had to have aircraft guns, and we would shoot down German aircraft, because at that time we thought Germans were the enemy. It didn't ever occur to him that my last name was Neufeld or Neufeld. And so it didn't occur to him, fortunately, that was so. And we played and played and played. And this is what children do. Sometimes it takes a while, but they eventually play it out. When they are playing it out, it is a good sign, because it is bringing it into play. This is what the brain can handle. This is what it can touch. And so it helps that way. It lightens the emotional load. The more they can play it out, the less the load is on the emotional brain. That's so important. It lightens it. It lightens it. You'll be able to actually feel it lighten. It doesn't make it worse. You don't have to stop them playing from this. This is not, no. Let the emotions have their play when it doesn't count for real. It will aid in the recovery of feelings, so their stress response does not get stuck. It just a little bit at a time. It just makes the heart a little bit softer, ready. Remember, readiness, readiness, readiness. Don't pull. Play is nature incognito. Play is really, when you see play at work, you're seeing nature at work. Nature is incredibly gentle, never draws attention to itself, is the invisible force that is taking care of us. It is amazing. It is amazing when you can actually see what it does. So let it do its work. Play will heal your child. Play will heal you. Play will do its work. It knows how to do its job. Our emotions are meant to take care of us. Play is meant to take care of our emotions. So it all comes as a package deal. And so when there is crisis, Play is our first aid kit. This is what we bring. Now, it may seem that people are doing nothing. You go to a program and the children are playing and may say, what is happening here? What is happening is that we have to get their brains into the play mode. It sets the stage to access healing sadness when emotionally ready. Now, feelings are really, the problem with feelings when there's been a crisis is feelings are where the pain is, are where the suffering is. One of the jobs of play is to lighten them up a little bit so they don't feel quite as bad, so we can bear them. And one of the feelings that we will eventually have to feel is all the sadness, to feel the holes of where the separation could not be fixed. So all the separation holes will need to be filled with some sadness, some tears when it's ready. But sadness is a very heavy feeling. So how are we to get there? Well, that is the amazing thing of play. When you draw it out, when you dance it out, when you sing it out, in the music, in the stories, it is, you are able to bear it. Sadness is a bit sweeter, a bit lighter. Plato even said there is a charm to sadness that was amazing, because in the play mode, it actually is a sense of melancholy that can be born, that one can bear. Again, play will do it. Play will do it. All we need to do is bring play to the child, play to the mother. That's what we need to do, is bring play to those who are suffering. And when drawing the child into play, and the adult and the parent, the mother, and the volunteers for that matter, who are getting emotionally exhausted as well. This is for ourselves, these emotional playgrounds. When drawing the child into play, we are transferring the child into the arms of nature so it can gently and wisely take care of the child. This play is our emotional first aid. I'll pass it to Joanna.
And
did I pass it or no? Was it mine still?
I think this is yours. Yes, this is mine. So maybe I will say.
Oh, there you are. This is yours.
Yes. I will say. So yes, as you see, all these elements you mentioned, again, they are here. This is another example photo from our classes. And this time here is Przemek Sikora from our Polish Institute team, as you see, surrounded by a group of boys. And on the beginning, I did not foresee such an obvious matter that the younger boys would orbit him, but of course they did. And on the one hand, because of the physically and emotionally available man figure, and on the other hand, because Przemek provided here for the children this wonderful types of games, and that allowed them to be close, make this eye contact in the game, during the game, but also express these different emotions, especially this big frustration, included the biggest frustration connected with separation. And every boy wanted here to make this tower even taller and taller still. As you see, it's extreme tall right now. And at one point, they did not reach the top. So Przemek persistently picked up these boys so that they could reach, yes, and add another layer themselves. So as you can see, all these elements are present, even this setting the stage to sadness, because it's so much easier to cry because you are not able to
get
another layer than cry because of real
that's for sure
what's going on. Yes. And what we see also here is we have something more, because there's building a relationship here through play. So in the most safe and easy way. And there's a beautiful invitation to dependent mode, when the children can follow him and ask him for help and just be who they are, children. Yeah, children with a strong emotion right now. Yes.
Yeah. Yes, I love it. I love to see it because yes, there's nothing more frustrating than having your tower, you're building things not work, and then you're free to express all of that frustration.
Yes,
And you
yes,
feel as if, oh my goodness, there's far more frustration than would be warranted by this game, but you know that it's finding an avenue for all the separation inside of one,
exactly, exactly.
That's exactly what play does. It's just amazing how it can give room for the emotion. So
Yes, and
we
as you said, it's not a luxury. I would like to say
yeah,
again because we can think that, oh, it's war, how you can play, but
yes,
it's absolutely necessity
yes.
to just survive and not be
Yeah.
traumatized for all of this. Yeah.
Play has through the centuries been thought of is an extra frivolous, is something that we didn't understand, so we thought we had no use, and it turns out to be the play is it. There's even some who believe, and I one of them, is that the secret ingredient of therapy is actually play, and it is as therapy approximates as the properties of play, that it is effective. And so play is, again, a necessity. It is a necessity. And I wanted to just give this diagram here about how emotional playgrounds help in the recovery of feelings. So this vague vague figure here holding the heart is a figure of play, hopefully, that for me that I see. And just emotions are not at work. And so the whole defense against feelings is reversed. And so the heart softens. Play is safe, so feelings won't get hurt. Emotions are freer to move, and so more likely to be felt and identified. Emotions are easier to feel when one step removed from real life. Words or their lack, oh my goodness, so much of the stuff is wordless. Oh, when there's no words, there's no words, there's no words. Play doesn't care. Play was there before words. Play was there long before. Play has a way of doing it. It doesn't need words. And that's the beauty of it, is that play can function. The feeling specifically involved in strengthening the self, especially the sadness when the brain realizes that I've survived, etc. But the sadness has to come here are much easier in play. And I just wanted to share some thoughts about just a little bit of how-tos. Engage in play by giving play signals, like a bit of silliness, singing, wearing a playful cap. Singing is an invitation, because singing is the first and foremost playground of emotion. Music has a way of capturing all emotion, and so playfully engage in games, puzzles, stories, music, movement, drama, theater. Provide materials to draw, paint, construct, make crafts, make music, priming the activity where necessary. Take turns telling made-up stories. Be careful about reading stories unless you're really sure that the emotions are ready for it. It's much safer to allow children to invent their own stories, and because their stories will be invented by emotion, just like dreams are controlled by emotion. As soon as you start a story, once upon a time, emotion jumps right there. This is my ground. This is where I have, and emotion will start directing. You can just visualize it moving into the director's chair, right? This is what I do. I direct stories. I direct this. This is what I do. I direct dance. And so emotions will get in there, which is exactly what it is. A lot better than the nightmares. Sing or hum lullaby type songs if possible. Again, singing is amazing because it's an invitation to the play mode. The lullaby, with its ever so, like, it's in the key of sadness, so it ever so makes it a little bit easier to manage, but it also is music is our first connection, so it's a primordial connection. It was the first language of humans, and the first connection to the mother in the womb is a musical nature of the speech or what happens. And so this creates a kind of well-being that is hard to explain when you hear the lullaby of your childhood something happens inside of you that brings a deep rest, but it makes it easier for emotion. Engage in playful connection. Oh, on that lullaby, I wanted to say one of my favorite quotes is Voltaire, a French philosopher. He's not my favorite philosopher, but I loved this one. He says, life is a shipwreck. And that's understandable. Life is a shipwreck. But he says, but don't forget to sing in the lifeboats. So, okay, I'll say it again. Life is a shipwreck, but don't forget to sing in the lifeboats. So this is exactly the lifeboats, the first aid. Don't forget to sing. We all need to sing. Sing our national songs, sing our lullaby, sing our, engage in playful connection, providing brief experiences of contact, togetherness that are able to disarm. Joanna showed a picture of this. In playful connection, it's easier to connect with a child. If you try to collect some children directly, they may be, especially those who've been traumatized, may be resistant to all contact. If you start playing, you'll be able to get brief connection, and it will disarm them so that they can start attaching to you. And of course, engage in cultural play, the dances, the food, the music, the art, the culture of origin. All these are critical. You have some slides now that you want to
yes, and
share.
The last part is connected with cultures, of course, extremely helpful for adults when we are giving them the cascading care. It's so important because children mainly have this attachment with adults, but adults have this attachment also with the land, with the cities, etc. So it's so important when we can share this culture. And starting to know better the culture because we are doing something together. And just quick examples, providing materials. We are. This is the photo from the spectacle, the theater O Teatr in Polish, and we are inviting them to provide some spectacle for Ukrainian and Polish families to spend a great time because we know that these guys are great. And you see these blocks as a scenography, and we are building right now these blocks just to play for children. Exactly what you said, to provide them the opportunity to play their own rules, their own story. So when we can have something like that, we can provide this opportunity. And can you next slide? Previous.
Oh, just a minute.
Yes, of course.
Just a minute.
But I will start and say that all of this play, when we can play together, adults and children, all of this meetings, when we can do something. Tomorrow we'll be doing macramas together, just learning together, moms from Poland and from Ukraine, making macramas and Ukrainian songs and meals. Here it's a honey medovi shuliki. I'm speaking correctly in Ukraine right now. So we will be just learning how to do this and providing much more feeling of home here right now. And yes, the next slide. The next slide is just an example of book, because what you mentioned today, Gordon, about that, but we have to be careful about the books, about reading the stories. I'm fully agree, especially that right now we can see that there is some trend because of the war that we should read books about war for children, yes, to give them the knowledge about what's going on. But it's absolutely opposite, because there's reality going on. It's not a play mode when you're reading about war, and it's much more much better to read. This is just one example, Niuniuś and the Spring, and the writer is Aga Nuckowski, and she is a part of our Polish Institute team here, and she just wrote a book about a little pig, And there's so many beautiful examples of sameness, of a dependence mode with adults, and we can provide it. And right now, even this publishing house, Natuli, they made a Ukrainian version of this book, so we can order it and provide also for these families. Yes, I just wanted to mention about this great example.
It's wonderful. Just wanted to say something about the emotions and instincts that will come out in play, so that you're not surprised, and when you see it, that you go, oh, okay, this is what I'm seeing. This is okay. And so when you are able to successfully engage the child in play, and you will notice that they will look for opportunities to play out alarm as well as alarming scenarios. They will repeat those alarming scenarios over and over again in different ways, while safely in the context of play. I think that word scenarios is spelled wrong in English, but you know what I mean. So safely in the context of play, where it is one step removed and doesn't count for real. And again, it's the way the emotion, it just has to play. All emotion seeks play when it has the opportunity. And so that's what you have to think of. Is this where the alarm can come out to play? The frustration will come out to play in either games of construction or games of destruction, making things and tearing them down. Or sometimes some children will do all construction and some children will do all destruction, and some like to construct and then destruct the very thing they've constructed. And so these are normal games. You mustn't be concerned. There may be a lot of destruction in the game, but it's one step removed from real life. This is frustration working itself out. Give the alpha instinct safe expression when it doesn't feel safe to depend. There's a lot of alpha instincts that are also elevated in children. So they'll want to play the boss, the leader, the superhero, the rescuer, the one in charge, the one giving orders. That's okay. They can't be in real life. So let it come out in play. The more room they have it in play, the less it needs to come out in real life, where they right now need to depend upon their mothers, the people taking care of them. They need to depend. They need to do this because that's the only way we can take care of them. Give separation triggered pursuit, one of the primal emotions, safe expression through games or activities. These are all, this is characterized by the hunt, the chase, or the find. These are there, all mammals do this, and this is very important. This goes, these are constant games that are played by them. Plenty of opportunity for pretending to be someone or something else. Oh my goodness, at this point, some of us would be anything other. So lots of room for pretend. Don't be afraid of the identities and so on. This is just also part of plays taking care of our emotions. And if children have become quite regressive, they're regressing to previous habits of and so on. They just want to be held and so on. Make sure to give plenty of play where this is given safe expression, so they can play the baby. Let's play that a game again, where you're the baby, or the pet, or the sick, or the wounded, or the one in need of taken care of. Bring it into the play mode and fully indulge it. If you can't indulge it in the real mode because they have a sister to take care of, a brother to take care of, but indulge it in the play mode. In the play mode, give clear signals when you begin or when you finish. But these are some of the things that you'll see in very important dynamics that are going in within a child who will be emotionally charged, absolutely emotionally charged. And so this will take care of those emotions. And this is some of the things that you will see.
And I will try to be extremely short because we both know that we just finished our time here, but we are almost all the species also presentation. So as what you mentioned, this 6 elements, I would like to come back just to these photos. And as you see, as you maybe know, origami is extremely frustrated when you are doing it, and it's easy be making it the wrong way. So it's a great space for play with frustration. And as you see this relationship, it was so obvious to follow me because I need to give you the clue how to do it. What is the next step? So all of this alpha instincts and dependent instincts elements. But I would like to say here also that it was not on the beginning because I didn't know why, but for some reason, for me, this girl didn't want to follow me on the beginning. And I'm mentioning about this because it's so important to know this. And I didn't know it on the beginning. What was the reason and why she's so detached from me? She's so alarmed. And I was thinking, what's exactly going on? And then I realized that there's a little sister and the girl has to take care of little sister. So she couldn't be in a play mode because she was in a real alpha right now for the sister. So again, cascading care, we had to take care of the little sister, and then she flourished. Then she started to do exactly what I was giving, what clue I was giving to her, and it was so nice to see her in this rest mode because she has this ability, this possibility. Yes, and okay, that's it. I know about it.
And which brings us to the end of this talk. And again, in times of chaos and confusion, we need to retreat to the basic. The answers given to us by nature, they are intuitive. They are simple, not necessarily easy, but they are simple. They are science-based. They're the toolkits that every single one of us has. They do not require special manuals or advanced training. It can be brought by any caring adult and should always be the essence of the expert's help as well. The ones in greatest need, of course, right now are the displaced Ukrainian children. And the ones who need greatest need of assistance are their mothers to be the answers to their children. And so I'll leave you with this concluding thought. Yes, there is help for children in troubled times. And play and relationship are nature's answers. We should do everything we can to deliver these answers to those in need. Thank you again to the organizers to provide this opportunity to share directly with the Ukrainian mothers who have fled into Poland, and to all those there that are trying to help them become the answers to their children. Thank you.
Thank you, Gordon, for this amazing insight that you were able to provide and prepare in such a short time all of this. And I would like to also personally thank you, because I know that what we are doing right now here, it's because I had this insight from the Institute, from whole team, and not only insight right now, but also I didn't mention before, but Gordon and your wife Joy, you organized the gathering of money to help us here working. So we have your financial support right now also to be able to help in a bigger way and organize all of these events right now. And right now we have even a question from other countries to have some clues how to do it, how to organize it, so it's spreading, and it's unbelievable. So thank you very much for all of this, and that I don't have to be just frustrated. I can release all of this frustration, yes, and do what I can do here and right now. And at the end, because I saw that there's a lot of appreciation of this insight and of this work, I would like to say to the audience that here in Poland we have already 2 books in Polish. One of your book, Gordon, in Polish it's Więź,
Should I stop sharing here? So
yes, you can stop. So this book, Więź of Gordon Neufeld, and the other book, one of our faculty team, Dr. Deborah McNamara, the book in Polish, Odpoczynek, zabawa, rozwój. So I highly recommend both of these books, and you can dig deeper in this knowledge. And also there's a newsletter in Neufeld Institute Canadian, in English, but we started just 3 months ago, we started our newsletter Polish. So every month we are trying not only provide this insight, but this knowledge, but also provide some emotional playgrounds for adults, some piece of poetry, music, some art, just to have this rest from this world, hairy world right now. Yes, so you can sign up there. And next month we are providing for the first time in Polish the course based on making sense of aggression. So one of your flagship course. So you can, the registration is open, so you can sign up on neufeldinstitute.pl Polish site. So I'm inviting all of you, because there's much more of this knowledge than today, and it's feel free to take it. Yeah. Thank you so much again. And there's a lot of appreciation to your energy today, this great energy as a supportive extreme, exactly in these times. We need it, and we all feel grateful for your energy.
Oh, I'm so appreciative of the opportunity to help.
Thanks. So bye-bye to everybody.